All right, mixed martial arts. We love it. We love a good fight. We love a good submission. We admire the technique involved to get that submission. But the one that really steals the show is the knockout. There is nothing more satisfying as a fighter or as a fan when the knockout blow is delivered. It causes everybody to go crazy. The arena erupts in crazy cheers, gasps, going crazy. The commentators, myself, DC, Rogan, whoever it is, we're all losing our mind because it is the ultimate way to finish a fight. Two guys, two world-class fighters or two world-class women going toe-to-toe, and then somebody delivers the final blow. The person falls down to the ground and it is over. I mean, come on, it is so dramatic. It is the ultimate way to finish a fight. And if you are the person delivering that blow, it feels damn bloody good. But if you're the person on the receiving end, if you're Tony Ferguson against Michael Chandler, which happened just recently, it's quite the opposite thing. Let's talk about that one. Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, great first round for Tony. Round two, front kick to the face. Tony falls face down to the canvas and didn't move for quite some time. And whilst the arena is going crazy, while people are celebrating, while people are in disbelief at how amazing the fight was, and wow, can you believe it ended like that? Tony Ferguson is still face down on the canvas. And not just Tony Ferguson, many. Almost every single fight card, there's dramatic knockouts, you know, and this video here today is to just think about those fighters before you go online, before you start talking shit, before you go to social media, before you start posting memes about it. Put yourself in the position of that fighter that was brave enough to step into the octagon for your entertainment, granted, for their own career as well. They're getting paid. There's a reason why they do it other than the fans, but your entertainment is one of the factors. They were brave enough to step in there, these men and women, and yes, they fell. Yes, they were knocked out. Yes, they came up short and they failed on their mission. But that doesn't mean they have to be subject to ridicule. And I talked about this when I was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. I was very proud. You know, and I talked about my family, I talked about my reasons for being there, and I told some anecdotes about my life. But at the end, I said, just put yourself in their shoes. Next time you see somebody get knocked out, just think before you start talking shit online. Because the sport is more popular now than it ever has been, you know, and that attracts all walks of life. And I love it. I love the fact the sport is so popular and that fighters have such an avenue to make money and turn their lives around. You know, fighters like myself, like everyone you see that steps foot in the octagon every single weekend, you know, this life chooses them to a certain degree because they were dealt a certain hand in life. They were cut from a certain cloth. Not always, but 99% of the time. Guys like Jake Paul, yeah, he's not a UFC fighter, but still, that's a different path. That's a different scenario. He's just desperate to be known as a tough guy. He's desperate for a little validation, doing something else than being a shitty YouTuber. As I sit here on YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. So when you see somebody get knocked out viciously, just think twice about what is going on for them, you know, and I can speak from experience. Listen, when I fought Dan Henderson at UFC 100, yes, granted, I went out there and I talked some shit. So a lot of people may say I deserved it because I was ridiculed. I was made to face that knockout endlessly on highlight reels all the time. Anytime I would say something on Twitter or online, I would be sent a copy of the GIF. I would have to see Dan Henderson made that his logo. A lot of people laughed, ridiculed me all over the world, talked shit, laughed at me. The public turned their back on me to a certain degree. Journalists turned their back on me. I remember my next fight, UFC 105, one journalist that used to always talk to me. I was in my dressing room and he walked in, and he was walking towards me, and I thought, wow, here we go. He's going to come up and ask me a few questions. This was back in 2009, and he just walked right past me. He wasn't interested in talking to me because I was old news. I was washed up. I was done. I was damaged goods. Can you imagine how that felt? Did not feel good, let me tell you. When I lost to Dan Henderson at UFC 100, we know the drill. I walked in, I was very cocky. I talked a lot of shit on The Ultimate Fighter, but hey, someone had to make it exciting. And the fight didn't go my way. I got knocked out in round two. Vicious knockout, fair play to Dan. Did what he had to do, caught me with the right hand. I went down, jumps in the air, boom, forearm smash, puts me to sleep for quite some time. Now, I didn't know where I was for quite some time in that fight, or after that fight. I didn't have a clue. Or as we say in England, I didn't have a jar of glue. I didn't have a jar of glue. I didn't have a goddamn clue where I was, what day it was, what was going on. I actually thought that I wasn't fighting for another 3 months. I could not compute. I could not understand what I was doing here, standing here with a pair of gloves with my shorts on. I'm like, whoa, 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 no, I'm not fighting tonight. I'm fighting in 3 months. And everyone was like, no, Michael, listen, you got knocked out. You fought tonight and you got knocked out. And I was like, no, this doesn't make sense. I was like, okay, so was I brought in as a last minute replacement? And they're like, no, Michael. You fought tonight, you got knocked out. You got to go to the hospital. You got to get checked out. I refused to go to the hospital. I pretended that I was fine, because that's what we do. We pretend we're fine. Letting the world know, letting the doctors know that we're not fine, and letting our opponent know that we're not fine, and letting the fans, the buying public, the supporters of this sport know that we're not fine. It almost accentuates the loss. It almost makes the loss and what you're going through even worse, so we play it down. So I'm like, oh, no, I'm fine. And I got in the shower, and a few minutes later, I stick my head out the shower, and I'm like, come here to my bud. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh my God, you've been knocked out. You need to go to the hospital. I'm like, oh, yeah, oh, no, I'm fine. Carry on showering. A minute later, I'm like, come here. What's going on? He's like, geez, you've been knocked out, Michael. You need to go to the hospital. So I protested for a little bit, and eventually I went to the hospital, got there, and in fact I shared an ambulance with Frank Mir. Frank Mir had just been beaten up off Brock Lesnar and was sat in the back of the ambulance like two sorry assholes, and I just went, shit, after a while. And the person with me said, whoa, what's up? I said, well, before when I said, what's going on? I said, I know what's going on. I lost the fight. It's all coming back to me now. So anyway, I went to the hospital. They checked me out. I was all fine. I go back to my hotel room, and in my hotel room, there's everyone that came to see me and support me in the fight. There's my dad, there's my brother, there's my sister, there's my wife, there's friends, there's cousins, there's a lot of family. I had a nice hotel suite, and when I walked in, they were all there. And when I walked in, they all gave me the most condescending round of applause you've ever felt or heard in your goddamn life. But they were trying to say the nice thing. They were trying to do the right thing. So, I smiled, I laughed. Come on, guys, let's go out. Let's get drunk, because they came to celebrate. They came to support me, and they thought that I was going to win. But I didn't. But I was like, I'm not going to ruin their night. They came for a good old time, so let's go and have a good old-fashioned good time. And I put my feelings to one side. And that's what fighters do all the time. Like when I lost against Kelvin Gastelum after that fight, I didn't know where I was. But by saying I didn't know where I was, as I said before, that accentuates the fact that the knockout was bad. That it was even worse than what some people may suspect. And in the mind of the fighter, it makes them think, it makes me feel that like it's giving them an extra victory. Oh, that knockout was so bad, he doesn't even know where he is. So anyway, I just saw some people talking about Tony Ferguson, and I see it often when fighters go out there and they fight and they lose. They're brave enough to step in there, and of course, you got to be brave enough to deal with the consequences. If you win, that's fantastic, and if you lose, you got to take it like a man or a woman, of course. But that doesn't mean that you have to be subjected to ridicule. Listen, that's the way of the world these days. The world is a cruel place, okay? People talk a lot of shit. People are invisible. They have these screen names. They would never dream of saying these things to people's faces. But as the fighter, as the warrior, as the people stepping foot in the octagon, this is the reality that we have to deal with. If you dare to be great, if you want to put yourself out there to be judged, then this is what we have to put up with in return. But still, next time you see somebody get knocked out, next time you see someone take a great fall, next time you see someone put their heart and soul into achieving and accomplishing something that they fail in, don't be so quick to run to the internet and talk shit and go on Twitter, send them a DM. I've seen DMs to me when I've lost fights. What is going on? Why would somebody, by the way, this isn't about me, I couldn't care less. This happened a long time ago. To me, I couldn't care less. I'm talking about fighters on the roster now and what they have to endure from some fans. But they're not fans, they're just little weasels. They're little pieces of shit. Who on earth goes to Instagram and direct messages a fighter and taunts them and mocks them when they've just been knocked out? Because it happens. And if you are one of those people, and if you've ever done that, then shame on you. Shame on you. But anyway, there it is. I saw some comments today that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So I just thought I'd come here and do this little video for you guys. Yeah, that's it. There's a few thoughts with my mate here. Anyway, take care. Subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. I'll see you later.